Hi, everybody. It's March 14th, 2018, and in my arms, I have my ever-growing cat, Fluffy, and his big brother is twice as big as he is, Chocolate. Probably will wander in at some point, but I thought I would show all of you who love to see Chocolate and Fluffy that they just continue to grow, and I love them dearly. And in order to talk with you about the news, I'm going to put Fluffy down, and hopefully Chocolate will come in. Yesterday, there was an event that was on news that just caused a whole cascade of things in my mind about what I've been exposed to since around 2010 or 11 concerning Mars and what truth there might be in a variety of whistleblowers and in some books that there has been ancient archaeology on Mars, and could it be one of the reasons that Elon Musk seems determined to launch as soon as possible to Mars? Well, yesterday, on March 13th, President Donald Trump spoke to members of the Marine Corps Air Station Miramar in San Diego, California. And at one point in his speech to the Marines, President Trump said very enthusiastically, and I'm quoting from my own transcript from the news report, quote, "Very soon we are going to Mars. You wouldn't have been going to Mars if my opponent won, that I can tell you. You wouldn't even be thinking about it. My new national strategy for space recognizes that space is a war-fighting domain." Those are very interesting words in the context of where more I'm headed. That space is a war-fighting domain, just like the land, air, and sea. We may even have a space force to develop another one. We have the Air Force. We'll have the Space Force. You have the Army, the Navy. The president continues, I was saying the other day, because we are doing a tremendous amount of work in space, I said maybe we need a new force, and we'll call it the Space Force. At first, I wasn't serious, but then I thought, what a great idea. We'll have to do that. That could happen. That could be the big breaking story. From the very beginning, Trump says, many of our astronauts have been soldiers and sailors, airmen, Coast Guardsmen, and Marines. Our service members will be vital to ensuring America continues to lead the way into the stars, lead the way into space. We are way behind, and we're catching up fast, so fast that nobody even believes it, close quote. Well, 2 days before, in Austin, Texas, at the current South by Southwest Festival, Elon Musk was a surprise guest on one of the panels, and he told a big crowd, quote, "We are building the first Mars or interplanetary ship right now," and he's referring to his SpaceX. "And I think we'll be able to do short flights, sort of up and down flights, probably in the first half of next year, 2019. This is very big, this booster and the space capsule. The thrust of this will be about twice that of a Saturn V. So it is capable of doing 150 metric tons to orbit and then be fully reusable. So the expendable payload is double that number. What is amazing about this ship, assuming we can make it work, is that we can reduce the marginal cost per flight dramatically in orders of magnitude from what it is today. This question of reusability is so fundamental to rocketry. It is the fundamental breakthrough that is needed. And then he went in to explain what the current costs would be if you have to build something to transport even on Earth versus something that is reusable. And he is highlighting the fact that one of the highlights of his February 6th launch that was so exciting to watch was after the big, enormous going up into the air with all of the smoke and the fire, that there was an end shot showing two of his rockets being able to come down and land. And that to him is the exciting part of what he's doing in SpaceX. And he says a BFR flight, there are variations on this acronym, Big Falcon rocket, Big F rocket. There's a variety. You can fill in the gaps yourself. A BFR flight will actually cost less than our Falcon 1 did. And he's talking a few years ago. That was about $5 to $6 million in marginal cost per flight. BFR will be less than that, and that's what will enable the creation of a base on the moon and a city, these are his words, and a city on Mars. It's similar to getting the Union Pacific Railroad across the continent or ships across the ocean. Until you can get there, there is no way for all of the entrepreneurial energy. You can't do anything. There's no way for all the flowers to bloom. But once you get there, the opportunities are immense. So we're going to try to get you there and make sure there is an environment in which entrepreneurs can flourish. Then I think it, meaning getting to Mars to build a city, will be amazing. We want to inspire you to make you believe again, just as people did in the Apollo era, that anything is possible. It's hard to believe that we have not been back to the moon since the end of Apollo. Elon Musk and his colleague, Jonathan Nolan, show a 2-minute trailer that was cut from the February 6, 2018 SpaceX first Falcon Heavy rocket launch test. And at the end of the 2-minute trailer, there is an end photo on one of the circuit boards driving the Falcon Heavy. And Nolan asks Elon Musk, that picture at the end, it's a picture of one of the circuit boards inside, right? And Musk nods yes, and he says, we try to confuse the aliens as much as possible. And there is a big roar of laughter from everybody there at South by Southwest. But I wonder how much has Elon Musk been read into the MJ-12 alien UFO program, the one that we have all been trying to get to the bottom of, that we know began in 1947 with some kind of an executive order by Harry S. Truman. It's now 70 years later. It would seem logical that Elon Musk has been introduced to some real facts about the alien presence in our solar system, Mars, the moon, Earth, and that it may be part of the reason why he is working so hard to get to Mars with enough cargo and people to actually start, as he calls it, a city on Mars. Well, does he know anything about the alleged history of alien humanoid life on Mars in this solar system? Like one whistleblower allegedly leaked to UFO investigator Anthony Sanchez, who published a transcript of his recorded discussion with a retired U.S. Air Force colonel back in 2009 to 2010 about what he called tall, pale humanoids from one of the planets in one of two solar systems orbiting Zeta Reticuli 1 and 2, which is a binary star system about 39 light years from Earth. It's the one that the famous Betty and Barney Hill abduction case that Betty drew under hypnosis, a system of trade routes that involved a place where it was pointed out to her where our sun is, where Zeta Reticuli 1 and 2 have trade routes with other stars in that system. Anthony Sanchez, in his recorded transcript with the U.S. Air Force colonel, talks about progenitors, that is the word, that the progenitors were and are a tall, some kind of humanoid intelligence that would be the root source of the humanoids in this solar system. and that this discussion with this retired U.S. Air Force colonel took place back in around 2009 period. In this book that is largely a transcript of this discussion called UFO Highway came out in 2010. And in it, it describes the fact that there was some kind of a war in Zeta Reticuli 1 and 2 a million or more years ago, and that it was between the tall, pale humanoid progenitors and another life form, gray humanoids, and that these two life forms are somehow distributed in this double binary star system of Zeta Reticuli 1 and 2, and that what the war was about, according to the U.S. Air Force colonel, is that the tall, pale humanoids were secretly going to the gray humanoid planet, harvesting genetic material, going back to their planet in the Zeta Reticuli 1 and 2 system, creating androids, hybrids, a variety of slave labor from the genetic material that the tall humanoids were harvesting from the short gray planets. And this word, progenitors, meaning the original root race behind what's in this solar system, involved the idea that whatever the history is that would explain ancient artifacts on Mars, on the moon, on Earth, and perhaps other bodies in our solar system, it's all attributed in the U.S. Air Force colonel's story to these progenitors from Zeta Reticuli 1 and 2, and that they were involved in constructions on Mars, on the backside of the moon, the interior of the moon, on our Earth, and probably other places even yet in our solar system that we have not been told anything about publicly or by whistleblowers. Now, in the book UFO Highway by Anthony Sanchez, there is a section where on pages 93 to 94, the colonel, reading directly from the transcript from the U.S. Air Force colonel, says, according to the Greys, the humanoids that got into the war with the tall, pale humanoids, to their historical writings, they tell us that the progenitor race came from another star system, Sirius. They were at Zeta Reticuli 1 and 2. Then after the war with the Greys, the implication is that the Greys did something that tended to defeat the tall humanoids staying in the Zeta Reticuli 1 and 2 system, so that they took off and went to Sirius, and that they had some kind of habitation around or on Sirius B, a planet there, and that they were chased from there again by these gray beings, and that they ended up on Mars. Mars was the closest to their own planet from the Zeta Reticuli 1 and 2 system. Mars was the original place inhabited by them in our solar system, meaning they went to Mars first, not to Earth first. But choosing Mars proved to be a major miscalculation. There was a cataclysmic event, according to the Air Force colonel. Now, when in this book from 2010, whether the Air Force colonel told Anthony Sanchez a different story, but asked him to cover it up in this book, that's a possibility, because the Air Force colonel calls the catastrophe an asteroid hit that exterminated some or most of the progenitors. But we know that John Brandenburg, who is a nuclear physicist, that he wrote a 2015 book entitled Death on Mars, The Discovery of a Planetary Nuclear Massacre. And this is about the presence of Xenon-129 in the atmosphere of Mars, which has led to John Brandenburg's doing even a presentation at a NASA conference about excuse me, about enough xenon 129 in the Martian atmosphere to support the John Brandenburg hypothesis that there were two hydrogen bombs that exploded in the northern hemisphere, and that there was a compression wave that would have annihilated cities and life in that Cydonia region, where there is the big head, the big Cydonia pyramid, and other structures that are referred to as the Cydonia city. John Brandenburg thinks that this explosion of bombs in the northern hemisphere could go back 1,000,000 years. The timeline is not clear. But if he is right, and the retired U.S. Air Force colonel has told Anthony Sanchez some truths, and a lot of Sanchez's book is allegedly a transcript from 2 or 3 days of recording this U.S. Air Force colonel, then is Elon Musk going to be dealing with ancient archaeology and artifacts on Mars from the progenitors and this war with gray beings, and that this might explain what whistleblowers have been telling me for the past approximately 18 months, that our government knows from its own secret investigations that the Cydonia region in the Martian northern hemisphere does in fact have pyramid and other structures that are made out of a composite material which has some kind of a substance not found in our periodic table of elements. Further, that the current whistleblowers tell me that the hieroglyphs, sorry, it's a combination of allergies and various things in the spring, apologize. That the current whistleblowers tell me that the hieroglyphs and the symbols on the ancient artifacts of Mars match exactly the hieroglyphs and symbols on ancient artifacts and pyramids on the backside and interior of our moon, and that they match exactly the hieroglyphs and symbols on ancient artifacts and pyramids that are under 1.5 to 2 miles of ice in Antarctica, and that the way we have been getting into Antarctica for the last 15 or so years has been through submarine into some part of Antarctica under the water. And all of this, I hope that all of you coming to Earthfiles YouTube channel on Wednesday nights with me, that you will keep in your mind this whole huge, big other possible backstory, as we're going to get more and more headlines about Elon Musk getting ready to launch to Mars with great enthusiasm, apparently by President Donald Trump. What do they both know about ancient archaeology on Mars? And what happens if Elon Musk gets there with the new pioneers, like the wagon train that went across America? He gets there with settlers, and they are able to survive landing, and they actually start setting up a city. Will we on Earth eventually learn about the ancient archaeology on Mars that matches Antarctica and the backside and interior of our moon? These are big questions in this revolutionary time. I hope that we will be told some facts and truth. And with that tonight, as a bigger box around President Truman's enthusiasm at the San Diego Marine Base, and with Elon Musk also talking so enthusiastically at South by Southwest, that we are at a time where more and more dots seem to be coming into place about the fact that we're heading out into space, where we've already been, and that other intelligences have been coming into our solar system for a very, very long time. And with that, tonight, I would like to take some of your questions.
Hey, Linda. First, we need to thank great people out there for our super chats. Cherry Michelle, Christine Seibel, Nancy Volker, and Billy Newworth. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Our first question is, has Linda looked into semiconductor companies to see if they are making components for the terahertz frequencies that she's talked about?
Well, I can tell you that one of the holdups in the research that we have been trying to do is, in fact, being able to construct terahertz generator, 8 terahertz generator that would equal some very high frequencies, and so far it hasn't been built.
Our next question is, Linda, what do you think is in Antarctica that's being covered up?
It's a really good question. The way it's been described to me by whistleblowers is that there are pyramids, large, huge structures built as if they were formed someplace else and just put down in one big, long swoop, 1 to 10 miles long. And I keep thinking about the Buzz Aldrin tweet a year ago when the tweet went out. It was verified to be Buzz Aldrin's tweet source, and it said, "I have just seen the face of evil." And he was in Antarctica and had to be medevaced out. What was that tweet? The next day, somebody tried to say it was a joke. Well, why would Buzz Aldrin, one of the astronauts, the first on the moon, why would he joke about something like that? I mean, it doesn't make any sense unless he was there and he saw something that disturbed him. But until we have photographs, videotape, and honest reporting, and whistleblowers can describe, but we need proof of what's in Antarctica that matches Mars and matches the moon. I wish I had that to give to you, but we have really, it's kind of in that gray area of sources who talk, and that's basically circumstantial testimony from people without hard proof.
Our next question is, what is your opinion of why NASA stopped going to the moon?
Well, the people like William Mills Tompkins and others who have had leaks since '69 say that it was because there was a warning by some kind of an alien presence on the moon throughout the solar system that basically told, I guess, our government, you can't come here anymore. That's what William Mills Tompkins told Bob Wood in the work that they were doing before William Mills Tompkins died. Well, if it's reptilian, which is what William Mills Tompkins said, where are they now? Why is it that they don't want humans to be on the moon or in other places? And I think that we've all been waiting ever since William Mills Tompkins and others have described this for more information that would fall into the hard category of proof. It's circumstantial, but it certainly raises a possibility about why. Why did all of our efforts going to and from the moon end in the Apollo program, and we have not been back?
Our last question tonight, Linda, do you think the disclosure will be made by 2020?
I hope this year. I'm gonna hope and cheer that it's going to happen this year of 2018. So keep coming to Earthfiles YouTube channel, and I'll keep trying to report behind the scenes and between the words and whatever I can that I think is at least pointing in the right direction of what we have been denied for so long by official policies of denial. So thank you so much for being here tonight.